Today we are going to work on lesson 11.5. So before we get started, I just want to review our 4 two-dimensional shapes we talked about yesterday. So our first shape was a triangle. Remember, triangle has 3 sides and 3 vertices. A quadrilateral has 4 sides and 4 vertices. Pentagon has 5 sides and 5 vertices. And a hexagon has 6 sides and 6 vertices. Remember our trick? Remember hexagon? Hexagon has an X in it like 6. Alright, so lesson 11.5 is called Angles in Two-Dimensional Shapes. So today we are going to be talking about angles. First page is crossed off, so we are starting on page 730. So an angle is when 2 sides of a shape meet and they form an angle. So an angle is easily confused with a vertice. So remember, your vertex or your vertices are your corners, and then the angle is actually, when you get into higher grades, you'll talk about measuring angles of shapes, and the angle is actually a measurement you can take. That's right in here. Okay, so when we're talking about angles in 2nd grade, we don't actually take the measurement of the angle. We just want to know that an angle can be made by 2 sides meeting. So this first shape here is a triangle. So we are circling all the places an angle is formed. So they put a circle here, here, and here because we could take the angle measurement in those 3 spots. So your angles will be the same amount as your vertices. Okay, so down here it says circle the angles in each shape, write how many. All right, so this first shape, you will circle where all the sides meet. So if we actually did that, it looks like we'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we'd write 5 on the line here. And please make sure you circle each of those angles, so where those sides are meeting. All right, and you'll do that for 2, 3, and 4. And write how many angles on the line. On to page 731. Same thing, 5, 6, 7, and 8. You are circling the angles in each shape and writing how many angles there are. And then down at the bottom, draw more sides to make the shape and write how many angles. So very similar to what we did yesterday. They give you a shape, so that this first one is a pentagon, and we know pentagons have 5 sides. They already gave us 2 sides, so we need to add 3 more sides to make it a pentagon, and then you need to circle the angles and tell me how many angles there are. And then over here, a quadrilateral, we know a quadrilateral has 4 sides. They already gave you 1, so you'll have to add 3 more sides, and then circle your angles and write how many angles there are down here on the line. All right, page 732. The top part is crossed off, but down here it says fill in the bubble next to all the shapes that have 5 angles. So you need to fill in the bubbles next to all the shapes that have exactly 5 angles. So you might want to go through and circle all your angles first on all the shapes, and then fill in the little bubble next to only the ones that have exactly 5 angles. And then you are already on your assignment page. So page 733, number 1 and number 2. Circle the angles in each shape, write how many. So make sure you're circling the angles and then write how many on the line. Number 3, Logan drew 2 two-dimensional shapes that had 8 angles in all. Draw shapes Logan could have drawn. So what that means is Logan drew 2 2D shapes. So remember, our 2D shapes are our triangle, our quadrilateral, our pentagon, and our hexagon. And when he drew these 2 shapes, he got a total of 8 angles. So this shape here plus this shape here, if you added their angles together, they had 8 altogether. So you are drawing 2 shapes here that when you add them together, they would have 8 total angles. So you need to figure out what plus what equals 8 and then draw those 2 shapes here. And then you do not have to do number 4. Flip it over to page 734. Number 1, how many angles does this shape have? Number 2, how many angles does this shape have? Number 3, use an inch ruler. What is the length of the string to the nearest inch? So make sure you're on your inches side, not centimeters, and measure that. And then down here we have a picture graph. Look at the picture graph. How many children chose daisies? And remember, check your key. Each smiley face stands for one child, and you are telling me how many children chose daisies. They're talking about their favorite flowers there. All right, and that was lesson 11.5.